Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Faction Focus. I am joined by Adam Camilleri, graduate of the Scholar Progenium, and today we are talking about the Astra Militarum. Adam, thanks for joining us.
My absolute pleasure and honor to be here. We're talking about one of my favorite factions, the Astra Militarum. We've got 3 brilliant detachments to unpack.
So what do you think the big changes will be for the Astra Militarum in the new edition? What are they going to have to watch out for?
There's going to be a lot of managing interactions, especially with terrain pieces changing in formats where the objectives are placed on the table now, and then managing the hidden ability is going to be really key, I think, to a lot of Astra Militarum's success moving forward into the edition.
And what kind of opportunities do you think they've got for victory and interesting plays?
Oh, everything. They can do it all. Astra Militarum has one of the most robust miniature ranges in the game, and they're going to be able to evolve with the ever-evolving landscape that we have. And we are, like, these 3 detachments, I think, go into the existing Astra Militarum detachment pool extremely well and create something that is just so robust and can be fit for purpose very, very easily.
Great. Well, let's dive in. So the first one we've got here is Abhuman auxiliaries. So, Adam, Abhuman auxiliaries, what does that bring to the table for the Astra Militarum?
This is a brilliant add-on to a bunch of the existing detachments. This is one of my favorite ones as well, especially a lot of the people out there who have large Astra Militarum collections. You're going to really love this one. Your Bullgrin, Ogryn, and Rattling units gain the Abhuman keyword. In addition to that, Commissars can now give them that all-important, has been missing for a long time, take aim order, which is going to be really such a game changer, especially for the Rattlings, I think.
So this is effectively a detachment that allows your Abhuman troops to get even better. You can now give them orders and they can bring things to the tabletop they couldn't previously do.
Exactly right, yeah. The Rattlings are getting extra ballistic skill, of course, that is what the order does, is going to make them so much more of a supported piece for the Astra Militarum players out there, in addition to one of the stratagems when we get to that in this detachment as well. I think actually just completely changes the game for Rattlings.
Okay, well, let's dive into the stratagems first then. So first off, there's a stratagem called Low Profile, and this interacts with the new Hidden rule, and it works on Rattlings. How does it work?
Straight up, stone cold, 1 command point, you will remain hidden after shooting with a Rattling unit.
So this is quite a rare ability in the game, isn't it? There's not many things that can do this.
Massively rare. Hidden is such a fantastic ability and changed to the game. The management of the to and fro between opponents trying to remain hidden to score points but also impact the game state is going to be such a beautiful tempo, and I think Rattlings are going to be able to impact that a lot because they're going to be able to shoot and then not be shot back by the Savvy General. Of course, it comes with the command point. You're going to spend for the ability, but I think this is so awesome for Rattlings.
I mean, potentially you can either perch a Rattling squad high up in your deployment zone, take pot shots at enemy characters, or you could use this to hold an objective somewhere in the midfield and shoot at stuff.
Correct.
Being kind of unable to be fired back upon.
Exactly right. Take advantage of plunging fire as well. All the changes there that are going to be so much to unpack. It's really exciting. But yeah, Rattlings I think should become a mainstay in a lot of people's lists, and coming back into the fore here, just like being able to shoot, deal damage to your opponent, and then not be dealt damage back while possibly scoring points and doing so many other interactions into the game, holding field. I think it's going to be fantastic. We have one other strategy.
Let's have a look. So this is stirred to action, and this obviously one of them. Low Profile works on Rattlings. This one very much for the Bullgrins and Ogryns in the army. What does this one do? So
it's a surge move. 1 command point when you have been targeted in your opponent's shooting phase. Those named units, the Bullgrin and the Ogryn squads, will get a D6 surge move. We're familiar with these surge moves, how they've worked for many different other armies over the edition we have just left. And in this case, adding this surge move to a unit that's never had any equivalent like this is really going to mix things up. And there's so many other computations you can go into. Things like 2-inch engagement range when a surge move is added onto a unit. It's really quite deep how this changes the landscape for these units.
Yeah, so and Surge is a rule that is now a universal rule. So previously there was lots of units in the game that had a thing that was like Surge. Surge is now the same rule for every army, basically. So when you're targeted, we take some damage, you get to move, and in this case it's D6 inches forward, and you can use this to go into combat.
Exactly right. It's something your opponent has to play around and always have to have at the forefront of their mind. Does this unit have this ability? Well, technically these units have never had this ability, and now they have it now exclusively in this detachment. So when you take this, your opponent just has to add things onto that to take into account generalship wise, and it's always a good place to be.
Great. Let's look at the enhancement quickly for this army. So we know that Commissars are now able to give orders to Ogryns and Rattlings, and and Bulgarins in this army, there's an enhancement called Exemplar of Duty, which can be taken by a commissar.
Exactly right. Now, this is a commissar-centric detachment, in addition to all the Abhumans we've already mentioned, and it only really pays off if your commissars stay alive. And so this enhancement lets your commissar have a 4+ feel no pain.
Always useful?
Always useful, especially when you need those commissars to maintain letting this detachment do what it's built to do.
Nice. Okay, well, let's have a look at the next detachment. So this is Bridgehead Strike. So this is a detachment really for the scions, the elite infantry of your army. Tell us about this.
Exactly right. I just graduated, I'm on my way,
by the way.
My way to being part of my own Bridgehead Strike at the moment. So this is going to allow scions to become a portion of your army you get to build around. They're going to become battle line, which lets you take more units of them, in addition to getting +1 objective control or +1 OC. Now, this is going to let you build around that portion, that identity of the Astra Militarum, and let you invest in there as well. In addition to that, of course, when you arrive on the table, when you shoot with your Militarum Tempestus units, you will get +1 to hit in addition.
That's cool. I mean, let's have a look at some of the enhancements and stratagems. There is an enhancement for this faction, which is called Militarum Tempestus Officer can take it. It's called Priority Drop Beacon, and it interacts in a cool way with their detachment ability.
Absolutely. You get to drop on turn 1. You get to arrive. You get to do an ingress move from turn 1 onwards. You are not restricted, arriving on turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, etc. From the first turn, you can start having impact on the game state. And I think it's a brilliant thing. Something Militarum Tempestus players and Astra Militarum players will be familiar with, and I'm so happy it's made its way into this version as well.
So you can drop in a unit with your hotshot las guns, your melter gun, plasma gun, immediately do some damage early on, and that gets even scarier when you combine it with one of the stratagems, which is firing hots. How does that work?
So this is 2 command points. You will pay a premium for this. It's probably for the best, but you will get +1 strength and AP.
So your unit dropping in, +1 to hits, +1 strength, +1 AP on the first turn, potentially eliminating a vital enemy unit before the game's even started, really.
Absolutely. And when you think about what that can be in the tail of the game, you're arriving, earlier, if you wish, of course, taking the enhancement, but even if you're not, you're arriving on turn 2 onwards, you're shooting at a target, you're getting +1 to hit that target. If you are shooting at a target of where your strength profiles are appropriate, you could be getting +1 to wound to your effective dice rolls, and then you're affecting their save rolls as well. It's impacting all 3 interactions of the dice rolls, which I think is some of the strongest things you could ever do in the great game of 40k.
They might get killed the next turn, though. That's the only downside, I suppose.
You're playing the guard. You're in for a dime, in for a dozen.
So let's have a look at the last detachment. This is Designation Force, and this is a detachment that interacts with Sentinels and with Astra Militarum infantry.
Yes, specifically smoke infantry. Now, what this is going to do, this is actually an ability we're going to see come up a lot. Of course, if you've read some of our other faction focuses, you're going to see a lot of interactions with detection range. Now, detection range is how you can shoot targets that are hidden. If your unit is hidden, your detection range will impact the distance upon which you can interact with them in the shooting phase. So this gives +3 inch to your detection range when essentially the scout sentinels or infantry units with smoke essentially throw a flare. Yep. And they're going to light up that unit, and you're going to be able to shoot them for 3 inches closer.
And this is quite significant for the Astra Militarum, because most of your units don't want to be anywhere near the enemy, right? You want to be shooting them from a nice, safe distance. So you send your light infantry, your scout sentinels up, you mark the target effectively, and then your Lehman Russes and heavy weapon teams and things can light them up from the safety of across the board.
Exactly right. Gun has been a tenet of the Astra Militarum for as long as the Emperor has called it its hammer. And in this version, being able to bring those guns to bear whilst staying further away from danger is going to be one of the, I suppose, the big to and fro battles for the Astra Militarum general, trying to stay outside of minimum safe distance, if you wanted to use a term, whilst also being able to impact, your opponent's units on objectives and things of that nature, and also not being charged, etc., etc.
Yep.
Things like surge moves. You always want to stay a little bit further away with your heavy hitters if you can, and this is just one beautiful way to do it. I like this one because it brings a lot of the bread and butter units of the Astra Militarum into the fort and gives them something very impactful to do turn by turn to assist.
Yeah, those infantry become very important all of a sudden. There's some other kind of enhancements in there and stratagems that make that work even better as well. So one of your enhancements, long range scout, effectively gives one of your sentinels units infiltrate. This is massive.
It might not look like it on face value, but I'm here to tell you why. So Scout Sentinels, of course, have Scout. Now, what happens when you only have units that Scout, but your opponent has units that infiltrate, and your opponents know how key it is for you to, use your detection range on their units that are staging on objectives or in aggressive positions, and you want to be able to interact with them, but you can't Scout because your opponent has infiltrated to block off your Scout move. well, what if you had infiltrate as well, and you block off theirs, and all of a sudden you flip the tempo of that interaction, and then you get to start using your rules before they do.
So all of a sudden that Scout Sentinel is not only allowing you to push their infiltrators back, it's also able to use the detachment rule to mark enemy targets, so you can start shooting them with your big guns early on.
Like when you unpack the value that one single Scout Sentinel can be doing for your army, it's unlocking a bunch of your other scouting units by making sure you hold space in the infiltration step. Then your units get to scout, and also that Scout Sentinel still has the same datasheet ability where it gives rerolls to other units after it targets them, and then also is going to be targeting them with the signal flare ability from here. It means that you get to interact with them full stop.
It's useful little Sentinel.
Incredibly useful, incredibly powerful.
And then last up we have a stratagem for this force, which is Sump Smog Screen. So this is an ability that effectively allows Astra Militarum infantry to add to the survivability of other units.
Indeed. So this is going to be giving benefits of cover to units behind this unit of Astra Militarum infantry. For one command point, they're essentially going to give anything that isn't fully visible because of the unit that you've used this ability on, the benefits of cover. So which is now -1 to hit. Previously, it would have been +1 to their saving throw if applicable, but now -1 to hit is always comes into account. It's not if I'm shooting with AP 0 units, the +1 save didn't really matter in a lot of cases, whereas -1 to hit is always impactful, and so therefore I think this is a pretty strong ability.
And if you think about the way this army is going to work as well, it's encouraging you to push forward a line of sort of scouting infantry in front of your tanks, and now that infantry can also make the tanks behind it even more survivable, so it combines really nicely with the other rules.
It is so beautifully homogenous and working together.
It's like we planned the whole thing.
It's almost like we planned this out, yeah. It's almost like the Guard actually do have a plan.
Nice. Well, Adam, thank you very much for bringing your expertise to the table. We will be back very soon with another Faction Focus.